back by popular demand, which again kind of shows that every once in a while there can be a rigged election. Slimy Bottom is here again from the province of Newfoundland. So if Slimey comes up, it's just, if there ever was a legitimate reason for a border wall across the northern tier states, it's Slimy Bottom. So Slimey, come on up.
People say we're not being around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down. We really want to do what we have to do. Don't tell me restless.
What's going on? Can you folks hear me out there? Lord, suffering Jesus, what's this all about here? You guys know you keep calm. I can't believe it. What's they doing here? I was coming down past Terracova and I got accosted by these two hairy rodents here. And there's the monkeys, I guess, but you know what? I figure that since I was walking past Terracova when they came down, and I never seen any residents from Terracova, I wonder if these are the kind of folks who are living up there. Wow. Okay, now you guys are pretty damn ugly, you know that, eh? Like I think your father must have been Tarzan and your mother must have been Phyllis Diller or something. Well, Jesus. Well now, look, and I think you guys, you know, you look like you're, wait a minute, you stink, stinky apes. What do you do about cleaning up in the park here when you're around? You need some of these bags that we got here. You know, these green bags. Well, I don't know. I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but this is what it is. I'll tell you, I don't know what we're going to do to get you off the stage. I'll tell you what. How's about a nice banana for each one of these? Beat up, but then you got to get out of here. And when you leave, so you got three choices. You either goes to the back in the jungle. Hey, what's that? You don't want bananas? Or what? Would you like Canadian beer? Levi's Blue. I heard they were serving this at the party today here. The Levi's Blue? Is that? You want that? No? Well, you're not telling me that you want this. Like this, for the new folks that don't know this stuff out there, this is called Newfoundland Screech. And this is the strongest rum you ever want to meet. You can't even put it into plastic because it melts before you get it drunk. So it's got to be kept in. You want that? Well, if that's what it takes to get you off of here, just a sec.
Just a little bit.
Down to hats and ladies over here. But you know what? I still think she's the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. So what do you think of that? You got anything to say about that, mister? What's this? Ah! Ah! Oh my God! Oh jeez! Out of here, off my stage! This stuff is expensive, so if you don't mind waiting a minute, I'm going to roll it up. Well, we got rid of them guys, so now we can get to move on to the other stuff. Now I wonder how many of you have never seen Slimey Bottom before. Show your hands. So how do you know it's me? Okay, now. Slimy Bottom, that's my name, and I was a fisherman from Newfoundland, but we ran out of codfish, and so I had to look for a cushy job to be able to tide me over and feed me family. So I went to work for the government of Newfoundland, and I became a minister in the parliament there, and that's still the position I fulfill, and I was the minister for extramarital affairs. And it's a job that I really like. Now, is you folks up for a party here today? Now, we're going to start by you guys clapping your hands to the music, and then we're going to sing the favorite song that everybody in the world likes. And this originated in Newfoundland, but everybody sings it, and they sings it in Korea, they sings it in Japan, and in North America, everywhere over. So start clapping. That's it, you got it. We're ready to rock and roll now. Here we go. Jingle bell, jingle all the way. Ah, I was testing you. But there's still 3 or 4 of you that's awake, so we're going to keep going here. Now, I came in from Newfoundland, and I took the flight in, and the flight came in Gander a couple of days, or not Gander, we left from Gander, Newfoundland, on an Air Newfoundland plane, and we flew into Tampa. So I got sent to Tampa, and I made a call home just to check to see how everyone was, because it was snowing there when I left, and I wanted to make sure everyone was all right. But after I got done with that phone call, I went directly to the doctors because I wasn't feeling good. And I figured maybe I'd stress myself by pulling too hard on the propeller to get the plane going in Newfoundland before I left. So anyway, I get to the doctor's office, and there's somebody in the room before me, and so I have to wait. So I'm listening, and I hear the doctor say to the fellow in there, he says, "Now, Mr. Smith, I got good, bad news and I got worse news." And Mr. Smith says, "Well, give me the bad news first." He says, "Well, you got 24 hours to live." So he says, "My God, 24 hours to live, what news could possibly be worse than that?" And the doctor says, "I've been trying to reach you since yesterday morning." So anyway, I get called in, and I said to him, "Doctor, I think I'm really sick." You know, I told him the story about pulling the propeller on the plane and everything, and I said, "Now when I touch my forehead, it hurts. Once I touch my arm, it hurts. If I touch my leg, it hurts." And, "Doctor, am I dying?" And the doctor says, "No, you must be from Newfoundland, son." And I said, "Well, why would you say that?" And he says, "You got a broken finger." So he wrapped up my finger, and I left his office, and I went back to the hotel and left me bags, and I took my rental car, and I went down to the nearest bar to go in and have a drink and try and get calmed down. So I get to the bar, and I park the car, and I go up to the door, and there's a bouncer at the door, and the bouncer at the door says, "Sir, you can't come in here without a tie." And I said, "Well, I don't have a tie." "Well, you can't come in without a tie." So I go back out, and I go to the car looking for something that's going to, but it's a rental car, there's not much there. And so I find a pair of booster cables. So I tied them around my neck, and I went back. And I've got these booster cables, and I said, "Can I come in now?" And he looks at me, he says, "Yeah, you can come in, but don't start nothing." So in I goes, and I go up to the bar, And I says to the bartender, okay, I want 6 double rums. Bring me those first and then bring me a beer after. So he brings me my 6 double rums and I start drinking them down. Off he goes to get my beer and I swig down those 6 rums. By the time he gets back, the rums is gone. So I take the beer and I start drinking and he says, sir, you shouldn't be drinking that fast. That's not good for you. And I said to him as I'm drinking my beer, well, if you had what I have, you'd be drinking fast too. And he says, well, I'm so sorry, sir. What is it that you have? And I said, no money. So anyway, I went back to the hotel and sleep it all off. And then the next day I get in the car to drive down to Nokomis. And I get caught by the state police. And the state police guy pulls me over and he comes over and I open the window and he looks at me and he says, I want your name. And I said, well, officer, I give you my name. What am I going to use? And he said, oh, smart aleck, eh? Give me your license. So I give him the license. He says, hey, a Canadian. I've been waiting all day for a Canadian. And I says to him, well, look, I got here as fast as I could. And so he says, you're getting a ticket. So he starts writing the ticket over. He's over by the window. And there's these bugs that are flying around his back. And he swats the bugs away and he says, these damn mosquitoes. And I said, mister, they're not mosquitoes, they're circle flies. And he says, I don't know what a circle fly is, but these mosquitoes. So he keeps writing the ticket. Then he leans over and he says, well, look at that now, there's back these bugs. And I said, well, they're not mosquitoes, I'm telling you, they're circle flies. And he says, well, look, you tell me, what is a circle fly anyway? And I said, well, you see, I was brought up on a farm in Newfoundland. And we had horses. And they had these flies that would circle around the horse's backside. And then them circle flies. And he says, are you calling me a horse's arse? And I said, no, officer, I would never do that. But you can't throw them circle flies. Anyway, you know, has anybody out here got a stupid brother? Anybody? I see a big show of hands. Is that him over there? Well, I got a stupid brother too. His name is Rusty. And in case you guys hasn't figured this out, I'm Slimey Bottom. My wife is Sandy Bottom. My brother is Rusty Bottom. His wife is Patty Bottom. And my daughter Iona, who is now 12, God bless her, is Iona Bottom. So she is Iona Bottom. Now, Rusty, my brother, he was the guy I called when I got off the plane. And I called him back because they were having a big snowstorm when I left Newfoundland and I had to leave. My snowblower was still where it stalled on the roof of my house, you know. So, but that wasn't a bad week up to that point because it snowed only twice. The first time for 3 days, the second time for 4 days. But anyway, I called him and I said, okay, how you doing, Rusty, and how's Patty? And I know that's a bad storm. He said, boy, son, he said, you wouldn't believe it. He said, Slimey, the winds are blowing at 80 miles an hour, and it's howling, and the temperature is about 25 below, and the snow is falling about a foot an hour, and it's been doing this for a long time, and the house is shaking. And I said, well, you guys must be comfortable, aren't you? Because you're inside the house. And he said, well, we are comfortable, but he says, I'm worried about Patty. He said, Patty, she's so scared. I've never seen her like that. She's shaking like a leaf. And she's going from window to window, staring through the window and shaking like a leaf and with this look of fear in her eyes. And he said, what should I do? What should I do? You know, Slimey. And I said, well, look, Rusty, she's your wife and you got to comfort her at times like this. So get her and hold her in your arms and comfort her and tell her everything's going to be all right. And he says, well, I think that's pretty good advice. You know what, I think I'm going to do that. But I'm going to wait another 30 minutes. If it doesn't get any better, I'm going to unlock the doors and let her in. Anyway, they lived out in the outside of town, and they had their mother-in-law living in with them. And the mother-in-law, she passed away in the house. And so Rusty calls up 911 and tells the woman, you need to come pick up the body, she's died in the house here. And so the girl says, well, where do you live? And he said, 17 Eucalyptus Lane. And she says, please spell that. And he says, U-P-E-P. How about it just drags her over to Oak Street and you pick her up there. Yeah. Now, later on, after the mother-in-law passed away, his house was on fire and it was burning down, so he called the fire department and he said, "My house is burning down, you need to come quick." And they said, "Well, how do we get there?" And he says, "Well, don't you still have that big red truck?" He's something else. So, and then he builds right next to us in our subdivision in St. John's. And so he's building the house. He goes to the hardware store and he says, "You know what? I'm building a house. I need some 2x4s, like 600 2x4s." And the guy says, "Well, how long do you need them?" And he said, "Well, I'm building a house, so I'll need them for a long, long time." So anyway, then when they move into the house, and he doesn't put any blinds on the windows or anything. I drive home on a Saturday night, and I park my car, and there's the whole neighborhood standing in his driveway, all pointing up to his bedroom window and laughing to kill themselves. And there they are up there, but they're all frisky in the bedroom, and the neighbors are all watching all this, and they're laughing to kill themselves. So the next day I got him, and I said, "Look, Rusty, you need to put some blinds on your bedroom window, because last night all the neighbors were there having a real good laugh when you guys were going at it in the bedroom." And he says, "Well, yeah, you think so?" He says, "The last laugh is on them, because I wasn't even home last night." Well, that's enough about Rusty anyway. Now, there's probably some golfers out there, I imagine, in the crowd. And in Newfoundland, we had Tiger Woods come to visit us, but Newfoundland is a place where if you go into the outskirts, out into the outports and the villages outside of, they never heard of golf out there. So Tiger comes and he plays a tournament in St. John's, the capital city, and then he rents a beautiful Chevrolet Malibu to drive around the island and visit all these outports. And he pulls into Fortune on St. Mary's Bay, and he goes in to see the town, and Fortune's not a great town. As a matter of fact, it's so dismal in Fortune that when the seagulls flies over, they flies upside down because there's nothing to poop on there. So he gets to the general store, and he stops to get gas, and in the general store, he's one of the last places that I know of that still come out and pump your gas for you rather than self-serve. So he gets out of the car, and this young lad comes out, and the young lad says, "Okay, I just want to watch, you pump your gas if you want, or I'll pump it for you, but no, okay, you can pump it." So the young lad's pumping his gas. Well, Tiger, in the meantime, he leans over into the car to get his wallet off of the dashboard, and 2 golf tees falls out of his pocket of his shirt and land on the ground. And the young lad looks at him and looks at the tees and says, "What's them things, mister?" And Tiger says, "Well, they're tees. They're for resting your balls on when you're driving." And the young lad looks at him and he says, "Oh my Lord," he says, "those folks at Chevrolet thinks of everything." Now, this old Newfoundlander is walking down the street, and he's out there and he's walking down a country street, and he runs into this big bullfrog standing in the middle of the street, and the bullfrog looks up at him and says, "Mister, if you kiss me, I'll turn into a princess." So the old Newfoundlander looks at the frog, picks it up, sticks it in the pocket, keeps walking. Well, the frog looks up at him and says, "Well, mister, I told you if you kiss me, I'll turn into a princess." And he says, "No thanks, at my age, I think I'd rather have a talking frog." And then there's the fellow at the bakery. He loses his main baker. So he hires a new baker, and the owner goes in to see how the new baker's doing. There's the baker standing, he's got a pie all ready to put in the oven he's working on, and he's by the counter, and his false teeth are sitting on the counter. And the owner says, "What's they doing there?" And he says, "Well, I use them for crimping the sides of the pie." And the owner says, "Well, don't you have a tool for that?" And he says, "Well, yes, I do, but I'm using that to put holes in the donuts." And then when I went out walking with Iona, she was taking her little walk and she said, "Daddy, talk like a frog." And I said, "No, I can't talk like a frog. Don't even bother asking." So the next time we go walking around the neighborhood, she says, "Daddy, please talk like a frog." And I said, "Look, I can't talk like a frog. I don't know how the heck to do that." "And what are you asking? This is twice now." She says, "Okay, leave it alone." Well, the next time we go, she says, "Daddy, please, we want you to talk like a frog. Will you please do that? And I said, Iona, enough already. I told you I can't talk like a frog. Now you tell me why you want me to talk like a frog. And she looks up at me and she says, because Mommy says that when you croak, we're leaving for Florida. Okay, now, it's time for us to get down to serious business here. We have a sacred tradition in Newfoundland that's called a screeching. And that's where we give honorary citizenship to Newfoundland and honorary citizenship to Canadian citizens, or to people to be Canadian citizens. And they get this by going through a series of induction processes where they have to come up on the stage and kiss a codfish and eat some cod tongues and drink a pile of screech and a bunch of other atrocities, which I love. But we're not doing that today. You're welcome, Greg. But Bev has been through this process, and Donnie has been through this process, and so has Paul, who is not with us today, but he's convalescing, as we know. And they've done all of that stuff, but there's one more person here I would like to recognize, but he's not here. And he is not here because he's sitting at his desk in the corner of the office. And of course, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Wally. Wally has been in the office up there looking after all of our needs for so long. And he doesn't get the recognition that he should for that. So I'll show you the certificate that I'm going to be presenting to him after this event, so you can see what he is going to have the honor of putting on his Wally. I must say, this stage is a friggin' mess. Anyway, you know what? The certificate is going to Wally, but I wonder how many of the folks in this room know Wally's last name. Probably not a lot of you, because we all know him as Wally. Well, Wally's last name is Kuwik. It's Q-U-W-I-K. Kuwik, and he's from Buffalo, New York, and Kuwik is an old family name in Buffalo. So now you all knows him, and you can be respectful when you see him next time and call him Mr. Kuwik instead of calling him Wally, right? Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, and as I said, we're filming all of this, so this will go on Facebook and on YouTube, so that Wally can watch it after the fact. And so when we get to the point where we're giving him the hip hip hurrahs, I want it to be loud so he can hear it in the office, okay?
Okay.
Now, as we said, he's not here because he's manning the office up there. We did send him lunch, so he'll enjoy that. But he's got the longest seniority of anybody at RCR. He has been here for 18 years. Yeah. Congratulations, Wally. He celebrated last week. And I've known him as Slimey Bottom for 17 years now. And I remember him clearly when we came into the office for the first time, because he was damn rude to me. But it's all right. All's forgiven, Wally. Anyway, you know what he likes? He likes hot, spicy, gourmet food. That is one of the things that Wally likes. Now, can you figure that out? The guy spends his whole day every day on that freaking hot seat, taking heat from all of us, and then he goes and eats hot food afterwards? Or something. And he's into really heavy 70s, heavy rock. He loves the heavy rock from the 70s. So he plays that at home to relax him after a hard day at RCR, to calm him down afterwards. But here's something I bet that a lot of you don't know. He is a talented artisan of fine silver jewelry. and he makes silver jewelry out of silver wire and puts gemstones like sapphires, rubies, and that sort of thing in it. So if you see Wally out rummaging around in your property, he's not doing a lot of inspection for Bev, but he's out there looking for some gemstones for his jewelry. Now, we're going to do a toast to Wally here, and then we're going to have 3 cheers that we want him to hear in the office. So let me pour myself some screech, but I'm going to go easy on it today because, I don't know, I guess I don't have a reason. So I may as well just drink it right from the bottle. And this screech rum is real. I mean, we're talking about 151 proof rum, and this is a Newfoundland specialty. But the toast goes like this. There is good ships and there is wood ships. The ships that sails the seas. But the best ships is friendships, and forever may it be. So this is for you, Wally. Cheers. Now, we're going to do 3 cheers for Wally. And Wally, if you're listening up there, this is for you. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Thanks, all folks. It's time for me to get back to Newfoundland. He needs me there because my office is just bombarded with business as the Minister for Extramarital Affairs, and I've got a lot of stuff to deal with when it gets there. So have a great day, and thanks for coming to Canada Day.